Welcome back. The state of Oklahoma will implement a bold 3-year strategic plan with 4 key pillars: promote customer centricity, make complexity invisible, empower a future-ready workforce, and modernize with purpose and precision. CIO Dan Cronin says the state needs to put Oklahomans at the center to meet rising public expectations for emerging tech. So we're talking about your strategic plan today. One thing that you've said is that modernization no longer optional for the state. When you came in, you took a look across that enterprise. What was job number 1? What did you want to target first?
You know, our focus was really about prioritization and value realization. And I know that's maybe a mouthful, but it's looking at, are we operationally efficient to serve our citizens and the government of Oklahoma at the best price point with the best technology? And we had some legacy environments out there, and so we're chasing after that, trying to make change and drive the state forward.
The word customer, the word citizen comes up in that strategic plan over and over again. You want to make this a customer-centric approach to information technology. Talk about how you make that happen. How do you put people first from an organizational perspective?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm here to serve. And it doesn't matter whether it's my colleagues down the road here in the Capitol, or if it's a citizen that's walking the street. Our focus is, how do we make their experience when they're consuming services from the state as smooth and as fluid as possible, intuitive and easy to understand, with supplying them with what they're seeking. And really, that's the focus.
Making complexity invisible is a phrase that comes up a few times as well. Pull that, Dan, out of the ether for me a little bit and give me a concrete example of how you take a legacy system and make that complexity invisible at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. You know, one of the things that we have to do is it's empowerment to some degree out on the edge. From an IT perspective, we don't want bureaucracy in front of all the decisions. What we want to do is how do we be more efficient and effective with some of those decisions? Great example is when we have intake requests here within the IT organization for the state of Oklahoma, the processes that were out there were elongated. We sat down and we factored in, what do we really have? And so in order to get let's say a help desk taken into the system and routed to the right individual, there were too many steps in the way. And so we said, how do we look at this, evaluate this so we can go faster, more efficient? We whitelist some of the capabilities. We empower the teams to go after it faster without requiring approvals to do what's right. And so that's where we're behind that value.
Admittedly, this is my first trip to the Sooner State. I've had a great time. Highly recommend. The downtown was just wonderful. Yeah. There's a lot, in addition to the Oklahoma City Thunder, that are attracting people to Oklahoma. Talk about the tech talent aspect of that. How does the CIO's office make the case to bring in some of the best and brightest minds in information technology?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get public awareness that we are modernizing, or we're moving towards digital government. Taking my private sector knowledge and applying it to how we operate here at the state allows us to attract good talent. We've brought in several people off the street from a private sector, and we are making change. And as we resonate that throughout the communities within Oklahoma, there's a positive return on that. And we're seeing people coming to us and saying, hey, how do I join the team? What can I do to help?
What are some of the skills you're finding you need most?
Oh my goodness. Well, probably the most important skills we drive forward is truly around the AI and data space. Data science is something that's important to us. We have large sums of data in the state. What do we do with that data? How do we leverage it to the most benefit for our citizens and for our government operations?
Talk about that effort a bit, Dan. How do you make that data more useful? What's some of the blocking and tackling that you're doing right now in order to layer AI on at the end of the day, make that much more efficient, much more effective?
Yeah, we've got a state data platform that we're maturing, and we want to leverage that with AI capabilities. But the idea is, how do we make it extensible so that every agency can tap into that data and use it to serve the citizens best? I think we can find good blend, good balance, and that's where our journey is really focused on, is making sure that our citizen experience has access to their data when they need it.
Your IT strategic plan spans several years, 2026 to 2028. When you look back in 2028, how are you going to grade the success of certain of these initiatives? Like, how will you be measuring yourself?
I think efficiency, right? So whenever I took the seat about a year ago, I monitored, where are we at? As we drive forward, I continue to keep that forefront. Are we progressing? Are we getting better? Are we serving our citizens faster? And I think we have to just continually look in the mirror. I think whenever we get to 2028, we can look back and say, okay, we made a difference, and that's what's going to matter.
Your state has a large IT budget. I'm sure there's a lot of interest from the information technology contracting community to partner more deeply with the state of Oklahoma. If I work in the private sector, and that's a big part of your background, help me help them kind of teach to the test a bit, Dan. What should they be doing right now to really effectively align to your information technology strategic plan? What would you like to see out of the private sector side of the equation, sir?
Yeah, we have great vendors and partners that we work with all the time. I think our biggest message to our vendors is, how do you come in at the cost-effective approach for government? We know in the industry, sometimes you have private pricing and sometimes you have government pricing. And I think it's really important that we equalize that and make sure that from a state government or even federal government perspective, that we're getting the best bang for our buck. When we're buying a service, consuming a product, it needs to be equitable for the state. And I think that's one of the things that's a real focus for us. And so we've had that dialogue with our partners. It's resonating, and we're seeing the adjustments being made.
Dan Cronin, CIO, Oklahoma. Sir, thanks so much.
Thank you, George.